When my bullet hit dead center of the target, the instructor 200 meters away stood there with his mouth hanging open. "Impossible," he muttered. But for me, this was just an ordinary Tuesday. Because I was Sarah Martinez, and they hadn't seen the 47 notches carved into my rifle yet. On the first day of Marine Sniper School, Instructor Wilson looked at me and smiled. That smile was full of mockery. "Little lady, there are no Barbie dolls here. These are real weapons. Are you sure you want to be here?" The 30 male soldiers around me started laughing. I just nodded and said, "Yes, sir." That morning we were going to do our first test at the range. What was a 4-year-old girl, 5'5", from Texas, doing among these men? They were all asking the same question, but none of them knew my real story. 3 years ago, in the mountainous regions of Afghanistan, I was 21 years old, and on my first deployment. We were on patrol duty in a small village, 50 kilometers east of Kabul, whose name I can't even remember. That night, everything changed. At 2:30, I woke up to enemy fire. I could hear explosions outside our tent. My commander's voice came over the radio. "We're ambushed. Everyone take positions." When I stepped outside with my M4 rifle, the scene I witnessed was something I'll never forget. Marcus, my 9-year-old buddy, was lying in front of the tent covered in blood. His eyes were open, but he wasn't breathing. Tommy, who was my age, had been shot in the leg and was screaming in pain. "Sarah, help me!" he cried out. At that moment, my hands started shaking. But suddenly, my father's voice came to mind. What had he told me when I was 8 years old? "Sarah, when life corners you, you either run or you fight. You're a Martinez, we don't run." That night, I didn't run. During the 6-hour firefight, we lost half our team. But that night, I neutralized 7 enemy soldiers. For each one, I carved a small notch into my rifle's stock, just so I wouldn't forget. The next month, my commander called me in. "Martinez, we're assigning you to a special mission. Your file will remain classified." For the next 18 months, I worked on operations no one knew about. Behind enemy lines, alone. After each successful mission, one more notch. Every time I saved lives, one notch. Every time I eliminated a threat, one notch. At the end of 18 months, there were 47 notches on my rifle stock. 47 stories. 47 reasons I fought so I could come home. But nobody knew this. My file was classified. So when I returned to the States, I was just little Sarah, an ordinary soldier. When I applied to Marine Sniper School, the instructors saw me as just the girl from Texas. "Martinez," Instructor Wilson yelled on the first day, "what are you doing here? This school is man's work." I smiled. "Sir, I'm here to learn." "Learn?" he said, laughing. "Little lady, there's a lot to learn here. Are you sure you can handle it?" In my first shooting test, the target was 300 meters away. The other students took turns shooting. Most hit close to center. When my turn came, Wilson looked at me. "Come on, Texan, show us what you've got." I shouldered the rifle, held my breath, pulled the trigger. The bullet went straight through the center of the target. Wilson looked on in amazement. "Lucky shot," he said. "Shoot again." The second bullet was also dead center. So was the third. And the fourth, 10 bullets, 10 perfect hits. The expression on Wilson's face began to change. "Beginner's luck," he muttered. But his tone wasn't the same anymore. The next day, we had a 500-meter distance test. This time, the conditions were harder. There was wind. The target was smaller. The other students were struggling. When my turn came, Wilson approached me. "Martinez, this isn't a game. Missing at this distance is normal." I took position, calculated the wind. I had tried this distance hundreds of times before. I pulled the trigger. Dead center. Wilson checked through the telescope. His face went white. "Impossible," he said. Again. The second shot was also dead center. So was the third. This time, Wilson came up to me and asked in a low voice, "Who are you?" "Sir?" I said with an innocent expression. "Who are you really, Martinez? This skill isn't luck. This is experience." That evening, the other students ostracized me. They called me teacher's pet. They said I was showing off, but nobody knew the truth. Nobody knew what I had experienced 3 years ago. In the third week, we had our 800-meter distance test. This was one of the hardest tests at Marine Sniper School. Most students couldn't pass this test. Wilson addressed us before the test. "Gentlemen, this is real combat distance. The game ends after this point." He looked at me and added, "Martinez, are you sure you want to continue? Nobody expects this from you." "Sir, I'm ready," I said. Test day arrived. The other students took turns shooting. Many couldn't even see the target. Some hit close, some missed completely. When my turn came, the entire school was watching me. I took position. I had used this distance many times in Afghanistan. On those dark nights, my friends' lives depended on it. I exhaled. I pulled the trigger. Dead center. Wilson looked through the telescope for a long time. Then he turned to me. There was no more mockery on his face, just curiosity. Martinez, come with me. I followed him to his office. He closed the door and turned to me. If you don't tell me who you are, I'll kick you out of this school. This skill doesn't come from 3 weeks of training. You've fought before. At that moment, I made a decision. I put my rifle on the desk and showed him the stock. Wilson's eyes froze when he saw the 47 notches. What? What does this mean? He asked. Sir, these are my Afghanistan stories, I said. Each notch is a mission. Each notch is a soldier who made it home. Each notch is proof of why I'm here. Wilson silently took the rifle and examined the notches. 47, he muttered. You neutralized 47 enemy soldiers. Yes, sir. For 18 months in classified operations. That night, Wilson called me to his office. He had a thick file in his hands. Martinez, your file just arrived. I apologize. He read the file for hours. It contained every mission, every operation, every success I had in Afghanistan. You're a real sniper, he said. Why didn't you tell us this? Sir, nobody asked. I'm just here to learn. The next day, Wilson gathered the entire class. Gentlemen, I want to tell you something. Martinez isn't just a student. She's a real combat veteran. She completed 47 successful operations in Afghanistan. The silence in the classroom was deafening. The students who had ostracized me until that moment now looked at me with respect, but I just nodded. I just did my duty. The rest of the school days were different. I was no longer the little Texas girl. My classmates started asking me for advice. Wilson made me an assistant instructor. I shared my experiences with young soldiers. On graduation day, Wilson approached me. Martinez, I'm proud of you. You showed us how wrong prejudices can be. Sir, I said, I just showed who I am. Now, 2 years later, I'm the youngest female instructor at Marine Sniper School. Every day, new students come, and some look at me with suspicion. What can this little woman teach us? They think. That's when I show them my rifle. The 47 notches are still there. Each one a story, each one a lesson, each one proof of why I'm here. Listen up, kids, I tell them. Life will test you. People will judge you. But real strength emerges when you prove who you are. I'm Sarah Martinez. 3 years ago, I was 21 years old and I watched my friends die. That night, I could have decided to run, but I didn't run. I fought. These notches aren't just numbers. Each one is a soldier who made it home. Each one is a life saved. Each one is proof of my real mission. You'll be tested too. But remember, real strength is being able to say, I can't, when everyone tells you you can't. And so, my story that began as the little Texas girl at Marine Sniper School became a legend with 47 notches. Because sometimes, the quietest warriors are those who have lived through the greatest storms. When they told me, this isn't your place, they were wrong. This was exactly my place, because I had already traveled far on this path, 47 notches worth of distance.